Every week, NFL teams battle for a victory. The members of the Roundtable battle to rank the top 10 teams in the NFL. Guests bring their arguments and defend their top 10. Hosted by Thomas Brown, this is the Rankings Roundtable.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Rankings Roundtable show. It's brand new. It's our debut show. I'm so excited. My name is Thomas Brown Jr. I will be tonight's and going forwards host of this show. So excited. Cannot wait. And you think I came here alone? Absolutely not. I got some friends of mine that will be joining me. And I got to start with the guy that flukingly, I will admit flukingly, beat week one in fantasy. Dominic, he covers the lovely Pittsburgh Steelers. I may not like the fan base sometimes, but I like you. So it's all good. How you doing, Dominic? How you doing, man?
I'm good. Like I said, a fluke win would have been nice to know if Christian McCaffrey wasn't going to play. But, it is what it is. That's fantasy. But, no, man, I'm excited. We get to talk about football. So let's go ahead and get this thing started.
All right. And you know what? Just in case you thought it was just good enough to have one Pennsylvania team or good enough to have two Pennsylvania teams, let's have a fan base that just has more Pennsylvania involved. I got to bring in my lovely guy. He's one of the best Philadelphia Eagles fans I know, my beloved Mark. Come on in, my friend. How you doing, sir? How are you?
Okay, yo, what's going on, everybody? What's up? What's up? Fly, Eagles, fly all day long. Don, what's up?
What's going on, Mark?
Oh, yes. All right, so I don't know about y'all, but this had to be one of, if not the most exciting week one that I have witnessed in quite a long time, which is going to cause for some top 10s to be a little bit kind of quirky, and that's putting it lightly, right? So, Dominic, I would like to ask you, my man, what is your top 10? What does your top 10 look like?
All right. So after week one, I had a little bit of a rule. Week one, I try and keep everyone who won games in here. That's why you only see one team that actually lost on my top 10. But we'll start at the top. Obviously, number one, Chiefs. I don't think that really needs much explaining. They look good. And at this point with the Chiefs, I'm just at a point where someone's going to have to show it to me that they can beat Patrick Mahomes. It's just that simple. They're the best team in the league until someone shows me otherwise. Next up, I have the Eagles. Could have been a toss-up, honestly, between the Eagles and the 49ers. Really liked what I saw out of the Eagles. I think Saquon Barkley is going to have that type of Christian McCaffrey year from last year when it was his first season in San Francisco. I think Saquon Barkley takes that kind of step and has that type of MVP impact in Philadelphia. Also, it's nice to see that Jalen Hurts won't be vulturing touchdowns away from Saquon this year. So we'll see how that goes. Like I said, mentioned them earlier, 49ers at 3. Really like what the 49ers did against the Eagles. Not the Eagles, the Jets. They looked dominant and comfortable against what's supposed to be a very good Jets squad. And they did it without Christian McCaffrey. Fourth, as much as I hate to say it, we are going to talk a little Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys, I have them at 4th. I would almost go as to say the Cowboys had one of the more impressive wins of week one. I think going into Cleveland and absolutely just shellacking them. Deshaun Watson looks like someone who is stealing money in Cleveland right now. I think Dallas had a big part of that. But the Cowboys, they look sharp. Dak Prescott, everybody looks happy. And that tends to happen when people get paid a lot of money. So I got Dallas at 4, Detroit at 5. People are expecting a little bit of a bounce back year from them as far as maybe they'll be a little down. I like what I see out of Detroit. Buffalo at 6, very, very impressed. Josh Allen shows, at least early on, that he can still get it done, whether he has Stephon Diggs or Keon Coleman. It doesn't really matter. When you're an elite quarterback, you get the job done. Nice comeback win there against the Cardinals. Dolphins, similar kind of fashion. Tyreek Hill dealing with what he did earlier in the day, going out and then performing. The Dolphins got off to a slow start, but I'm not too worried about them. I think they'll be good moving forward. At 8, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think a lot of people, myself included, were ready to hand this division over to the Atlanta Falcons. I'm not so sure anymore. I think the Buccaneers, if Baker Mayfield is going to be a franchise quarterback, I think Tampa Bay's a very, very, very interesting contender and dark horse in the NFC. At 9, you have the Houston Texans, a lot of young talent. Obviously, we know what CJ Stroud did. Loved what I saw out of the connection between him and Stephon Diggs. I think that'll only continue to get better. Loved what I saw out of Joe Mixon. That was one of the reasons why I was really big on him in fantasy, was I thought he was underutilized in Cincinnati. In Houston, I think that they want to be a more balanced type team than they were last year. They threw the ball a lot, which is a part of the reason why CJ had granted, CJ is great, but CJ had such a prolific season as a rookie because they did throw the ball a lot. They didn't get a lot out of their run game, so they were kind of in those situations where they had to pass a lot. So I think Joe Mixon brings a little bit of a balance there, and that'll even them out. And then at 10, I have the Baltimore Ravens, the only team that lost in week 1 that is on my list. I still think the Ravens are a very solid squad. I'm not going to fault you too much to losing to the Chiefs, especially when that's something that we kind of know the Ravens kind of always do at this point. I mean, granted, everyone in the AFC loses to the Chiefs. Everyone in the NFL loses to the Chiefs in general. But I'm not going to hold that against them. I liked what I saw out of Lamar. I think Lamar looks great. I want to see them get Derrick Henry involved more. They got him going early on, and then it seemed like as the game went on, I just felt like he didn't get as many touches as I would have expected. But I still think that's a good squad, good defense. Lose week 1, but you're playing against a very quality opponent. There's nothing to hang your head on. So that's my top 10.
I see some personal surprises in there, but we'll get into that a little bit later. I look forward to diving into that. But come on, Eagles fan. Come on, Mark. Do it right, man. Do it right. What's your list? Talk to me.
Ooh, my list is a little different. Yeah. I might get killed for my list. I mean, 49ers number 1. Without McCaffrey, I did not expect them to beat the Jets. So that was impressive by itself. Number 2, the Chiefs. Like Dom said, like, what the hell? Like, the Chiefs are the top team. But, without McCaffrey, with 49ers dead, I thought it was remarkable. Number 3, you know what it is. Fly, Eagles, fly all day long. Number 4, I got the Lions. That overtime win against the Rams was crucial, not just for their ranking, but for their morale. I really thought they needed that win. Number 5, I hate to say it, I got the Cowboys. Just because I don't like the Cowboys, you already know what that is. I don't want them on none of my rankings, but I couldn't diss them. Number 6, this is where me and Dom differ. But at the same time, we both got them on our top 10 with a loss. The reason that they are number 6 is because they lost to the Chiefs by a toe. Like, literally. You lost by a toe. Like, I cannot fault them for losing to, the 2-time defending champions by a toe. So, are they better than the rest of the teams below them? Yeah. The Dolphins, even though they're 1-0. And for me, I would say this, what Tyreek Hill went through and then still was able to play, kudos to you, brother. Buffalo, I thought they was going to have a down year. You lost so much. Something about Josh Allen, I'm like, damn, how does he do it every week? I'm still lost with that one. Houston, Joe Mixon. I watched him in Cincinnati. I was like, there's no way in hell he's going to have that big of a difference with a new team. What he ran for, like $130. Like, yeah, Mixon is going to be a problem. The Buccaneers, like Dom said, I know Cleveland is kicking themselves right now. Like, how the hell did we let Baker Mayfield go? Mayfield is tearing things up. Him and Mike Evans, their chemistry is remarkable down there in Tampa Bay. That's my top 10.
All right, I got some lists to dive into. Look at y'all. It's a debut show. Y'all already doing the right way. I'm proud of y'all. All right. Well, before we come back and I share my personal top 10 list, we'll have a commercial break. This is the Ranking Roundtable show, and we will be right back with you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Rankings Roundtable show, hosted by yours truly. We have Dom at one corner, and we have Mark at the bottom of your screen here. And we're back all over again. But you know what? It's not like having the host get involved in these things, right? So I figured I would take it upon myself and share with y'all my personal top 10. And yes, it might get a little bit shaky, but it's fine. Let's get into it. So my top 10 goes very, very, very simple. The Kansas City Chiefs are at number 1. I think we're looking at a team who literally, I don't know how you can have a roster and improve after winning a Super Bowl, but that's literally what happened to Kansas City. I don't know how you do that, but that's literally what happened. Then you have the 49ers, who sat up there and said, you know what? We did just go to the Super Bowl and play those same Chiefs. Let's just show the Jets what it's like to actually have a well-rounded game and just beat the living hell out of the Jets, which was brutal. I have the Lions at 3. I think if we're being honest, that game on Sunday night just goes to show you that you can mess around and have that be a NFC Championship review game, if we're being totally honest. Obviously, there's a little bit of issues that the Lions could work on, but it's week 1. I'm not too worried about that. The Eagles are at 4. Fly, Eagles, fly. You know what time it is. I love the addition of Saquon Barkley. Thank you, New York Giants. Y'all found a way to do it again. So proud. So proud. Jalen Hurts looks a lot more comfortable in this new offense headlined by Kellen Moore. Yeah, don't worry, Nate. We're going to get to you in a second, okay? Don't worry. We got time for you. So we got the Eagles at 4. I got the Buccaneers at 5. Now, granted, I know everybody would like to say, oh, well, it was the Commanders. I wouldn't put too much stock into that. I just watched the Buccaneers offense, who, by the way, some people had a lot of question marks given that Dave Canales is no longer the offensive coordinator for Baker Mayfield. And they just looked like a team that just had a whole bunch of fun and just enjoyed putting points on the board week in and week out. And I look forward to seeing that. And like Dom said earlier, I don't know why everybody had just ordained the Atlanta Falcons as the team to beat in the NFC South. I don't know why, but the Buccaneers are still that team. So until we see something different, I don't want to hear nothing. Okay? I got the Bills at 6. Now you can also make the argument that, hey, it was the Arizona Cardinals. But if you watch that game, that's about as back and forth as it can get. And it was enjoyable from start to finish. And the Bills do get a little bit smudge of an extra point with having to come back and beat those Arizona Cardinals 34-28, if I'm not mistaken. Josh Allen carrying the team on his back. There's nothing like seeing that time and time again. We have questions about the Bills as well, how the offense will look like without Stephon Diggs, without having a whole lot of wide receiver names that we know of on that team. It's a little bit different in Buffalo, but they still found a way to get it done and still be productive. There's that team that's also in the NFC East. I have to have them at 7. I am going to refrain from using that name because it's best to use that said name in January, where we won't have to worry about saying that name. So I guess I'll be refraining from saying this name for a whole large majority of this year, and I like it that way. Moving on to the other team, the better team in Texas, the Houston Texans. Now, granted, there are some issues you can look at, especially on the defensive side. But I just saw a C.J. Stroud, Joe Mixon, Stephon Diggs offense that looked like, this is going to be an entertaining year. And week 1 was literally just a prelude to show that. So even in a nail-biter, and by the way, it was one hell of a nail-biter. The Texans did a pretty good showing of how dominant they could be going forward. I have the Dolphins at 9. You can make the argument that they probably shouldn't even be here. But I think that with the way that Tyreek Hill played, the way the offense was able to still put points on the board and beat the Jacksonville Jaguars in the manner that they did, you can make the argument that things are a little bit different. And so with Tyreek Hill having 130-plus yards, which I literally predicted, I was telling my friends, I said, hey, Tyreek Hill, after everything that happened in that, that Sunday morning, he's going to mess around and have 130 yards anyway. So it's not really going to make a difference. But, the Dolphins show that they can come back from behind, which is something you don't normally see in Miami. I'll put them at 9. Then the shocker to a lot of people, and rightfully so, is the Seattle Seahawks at 10. This is a Seattle Seahawks team who showed that they could still run the ball effectively. They do not need a whole lot of Geno Smith action, although he did show a lot of speed on that touchdown run. Literally, I saw the Seahawks who, yes, you could say the opponent was the Denver Broncos, was a rebuilding team, things of that nature. You could say that. I still feel like from top to bottom, the way that they performed over the past weekend warrants itself to be in the top 10 category. The Seahawks, explain yourself, sir. No Ravens. You know what? I thought I was going to go to y'all about the list, but apparently I'm going to do things a little bit different, okay? Because damn it, it's my show, okay? It's not my show, it's our show. But I will start with you, Dom. What are some questions or some things you want to ask about my list? I'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, number one, can we throw the list back up there? Because I want to be accurate when I mention these. So, okay. One, I immediately question your fandom as a Eagle fan again, because you didn't take any, there's a narrative that's kind of being painted here, Thomas, where you didn't take any Philadelphia Eagles in the fantasy leagues. Everyone else on this show, has the Eagles ranked in the top 3. I have them ranked at number 2. And you're supposed to be Mr. Eagle with the Eagles in the background, and you've got them at 4. That just seems wrong to me. But my biggest issue, I think, with the list is the Seattle Seahawks being in at 10. And I can understand why you didn't want to put the Ravens in, because you're like, you want to stick with the teams that won. I'm not mad at that at all. However, you don't get brownie points for beating Bo Nix. And I'm not very that win over the Denver Broncos is almost meaningless to me, just because I don't think much of the Denver Broncos this season. I like what Seattle has. I think they have a ton of talent on that team. I think DK Metcalf is like very quietly, like arguably a top 5 wide receiver that, like, if he played in anywhere other than Seattle, he would get that recognition. I think they've got talent. I like Kenneth Walker. I like Seattle. I don't love their quarterback, and new head coach. We have to see how that plays out. But just again, you're not going to get brownie points for beating Bo Nix, in my opinion. So that's my main issue.
Okay, well, before I get to you, Mark, because I know you have some gripes of your own, and that's fine. Let's break it down piece by piece. I have the Eagles at 4 simply because I don't know about you, but I also watched that game in Brazil where that Eagles defense still gave up 29 points, and I have to take that in consideration.
It's a field. Bad field, soccer field, bad conditions. Nothing to worry about.
Right. Nothing to worry about. I just want everybody to understand, I was watching that game, and I genuinely was concerned for everybody's safety every time somebody went to the ground, because it looked like somebody was a walking torn Achilles or torn ACL away.
Yeah.
Roger, if you're going to make this game global, do this whole player safety thing and think about the fields. Just say it. Okay, just want to put that out there. That's my only gripe as to why I have the Eagles at 4. I need to see a little bit more defensively, as far as can you get the job done for a full 60 minutes? I haven't seen it yet. I haven't felt comfortable enough to put them in the top 3, me personally. And I'm an honest Eagles fan. I have to keep it honest, and I have to keep it real. I did see a Detroit Lions team that, you may have some questions about their defense, but Aiden Hutchinson was getting after Matthew Stafford. We can't act like that didn't happen. Okay. Now, obviously, Terrion Arnold, had some flags throughout the game. I think those are just rookie mishaps. He's going to get better over time. I'm not too concerned about that. I think the rest of the defense was flying all over the place. It was very physical throughout the entire game, which is why I had to have them at 3. But I'll address the elephant in the room. It was a toss-up between Seattle and Baltimore. My gripe with Baltimore, unfortunately, is I feel like we've been down this road before, where every single time they play the Kansas City Chiefs, and correct me if I'm wrong, fellas, it's the same dilemma every time. The Chiefs are up by 10 points, heading into halftime. Next thing you know, Lamar has to come back. Therefore, their game plan has to change. Next thing you know, Lamar does something miraculous to bring them back into the game. And next thing you know, it goes down to the wire. And now we're having a conversation about a toe. The last time that they played, they didn't show up because they forgot that they did one thing that got them to the championship game in the first place, which was running the football. The game before that they played each other, it was tight, and they won that one barely. That went down to the last second. And that was only down to the fact that Mahomes had a mistake, which, oh, by the way, breaking news, that doesn't usually happen a lot of times. I'm sorry, okay? I just seen the same story time and time and time again. And just off of week 1 alone, you're just right outside my top 10. Me personally. Now, hey, look, Seahawks. Look, I did see a defense that did play well. We can't act like that didn't factor in. Okay, I did see a dominant run game, and again, if you want to knock on me and say it was the Denver Broncos, that's fine. That's cool. I ain't going to get mad at you for it, but I still saw a well-rounded performance, which is something that I need to see, especially in a top 10 list, in my opinion. So I'll just leave that there. Mark, what's your gripes? Go for it, my friend.
Yo, put that list back up, son. All right. Now I'm gonna get on you about our squad.
Okay.
I get it. You're talking about the defense. All right,
Yes.
so the Chiefs beat the Ravens. All right, we already know what that's about. 49ers beat the Jets, who still kind of learning each other. The Lions beat the Rams. You're complaining about the Eagles in that field against a top 10 defense last year and a playoff team last year. And you're worried about them because they scored, 26 points or some shit? Okay. They played, once again, a top 10 defense, a playoff team last year who smoked the Cowboys. Same offense, same defense, same team. But we're knocking them down the peg because they let a playoff team score, 26 points? Okay, cool. Whatever. That's crazy in itself. All right. The Seattle Seahawks, you got them at 10 because they beat Bo Nix. Why the fuck? Why don't you got the Patriots up there? Why you ain't got the Steelers up there? Like, I mean, they beat Bo Nix. Like, it's the Broncos. They didn't know what to do with Russell Wilson. So, I mean, put the damn put the Patriots up there. They beat Cincinnati. Put the Steelers up there. They beat every team. They beat the Falcons, the team that everybody thought was going to run the NFC South. But you got the Seahawks up there. They beat the fucking Broncos. We can beat the Broncos. You get 12 members of Team NBS. We can beat the Broncos. Straight up. Yeah, look. I'm dead serious. The Lions, I'm cool with. The 49ers and the Chiefs, I'm cool with. That Eagles at number 4. Yeah, that sucks, yo. That sucks. I'm hurt. And I was here doing a live draft, but you did not pick not one of our players. Yeah, I'm coming for you. You know? Matter of fact, I lost my fantasy matchup last week because of the Eagles players. My opponent got 3 Eagle players on his team. And shit.
Don't find a way to have your losses on me, sir. Okay?
Look. No, Don was right though, yo. Like, look at your background. What's in the background? What's that right there? That's not a Cowboys background. That's all Philly right there. Don, what's up with him? What's up with him? Yo, Don said, oh. No, you know it's all love though.
No, I know. And you know what? Again, like I said to Dom, I'll say the same thing to you. It's all warranted. And again, this is week 1. That's why I'm not putting too much stock into, more so the bottom 5 of the list. The top 5 was strictly like, okay, this is one of the best, if not the best in the league. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You can have a toss-up after 6 through 10, if we're being totally honest. But again, it's week 1. I'm not trying to put too much stock into it. We can wake up the following week and see Atlanta some way, somehow be in the top 10, even at 1-1. It can be something weird like that. So I'm not too crazy about it, but it is what it is. It's fair. But you know what? I feel like being on the flip side. Dom, can we pull up your list, please?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Let's put up Dom's list real fast. Okay, so the Chiefs at number 1. I think that goes without saying. That's fine. Eagles at 2. I mean, hey, I ain't mad at it. I ain't mad at it at all. Okay. Biases included. That's totally fine. The Niners at 3. Okay, cool. The Cowboys over the Lions. That's bothering me. Like a lot. Like I feel like when you were going through your top 10, you got confused between the hues of the blue to choose from. But it's totally fine. It's cool. It's whatever. You got Buffalo underneath Detroit. I think that's fine. Dolphins over the Buccaneers. Did you get the Florida teams mixed up too? What is going on here? I mean, don't get me wrong. I think the Dolphins, did well enough to warrant the top 10 conversation. Don't get me wrong. But over the Buccaneers, who literally had a well-rounded game and didn't have to worry about having to come from behind, That's kind of where my personal gripes are personally. But hey, it's also a toss-up as well. I'm not going to be too heavy on that. Texans is fine. I'm not mad at those who are going to have the Ravens in your top 10. I'm just not. It's just my personal opinion on the fact that we've seen this story time and time again with them. But outside of that, I feel like there's a lot of misdirection going on. You can explain it for me.
Yeah, of course. So Dallas Cowboys are at 4 on my list because, as I said, I thought they had the most impressive win of week 1. Going into Cleveland, which as much as I hate to admit it as a Steeler fan, I think Cleveland's going to be a good team this year if Deshaun Watson can be a quarterback. That's the big if for them. Granted, in week 1, it didn't look like it, but that could just be Dallas's defense. I thought that going into Cleveland, though, and dominating them in all aspects was extremely impressive. Especially with everything that Dallas dealt with this offseason, like Dak and CD trying to get their contracts going. It was a lot of setup for Dallas to lose this game. And not only did they not lose it, they came out and looked dominant. That's usually the type of moments where we look for the Cowboys to falter, and they didn't. I'm not saying that I'm believing in them to do anything in the postseason, but at least in the regular season, this is a really great showing to start. And so that's, I think, a big part of it too, was I took in quality of opponent. And I think that kind of leads into my Dolphins over Buccaneers as well. The Commanders, I think, shout out Joe. I know he'll be happy to hear this. I think the Commanders are heading in the right direction. However, they're still heading there. They're not there yet. I think that there's a lot of new pieces on that team. I love Jaden Daniels. But I think that the Jaguars currently are a better quality opponent than the Commanders are. I think that Miami got off slow, but once it started to click, once they got in their groove, I'm big on Miami. I'm a huge believer in the Miami Dolphins this year. And I saw nothing outside of a slow start, which, again, given the events of the day, you can kind of understand. So I liked what I saw out of the Dolphins over what I consider to be a more quality opponent than what the Buccaneers got over the Commanders.
Okay, I ain't mad at you. And by the way, I just want to let the audience know, talk to me when Deshaun Watson can throw the ball 30 yards down the field. And we can have a conversation about whether he's a solid quarterback in the NFL or not. Thank you. But that's neither here nor there. I just had to get that off my chest. I thought it was very necessary. Okay. Mark, do you have any gripes with that list? What you think about it? Can you put the list back up?
Hell no. I have no issues with his list at all. I mean, it's different from mine, not too different. I mean, First of all, he got the Eagles at number 2. Like, that's love right there. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't even have them at number 2. So, Dom, much respect, brother. You know what I'm saying? But looking at the list, I have no issues with his list at all. None. Yours? Yeah. His, no.
I was going to say, Mark and I's lists are very identical. They're very similar. So we kind of saw everything in a pretty similar way. Well, what's Steve got here? Eagles, Chiefs, 49ers, Vikings, of course. Bills, Cowboys. Okay. Saints.
Who's that?
That's Steve. Steve is going to give his Minnesota bias in there.
Wait, he got the Saints at 10?
Yeah, that's another.
They beat Carolina, B.
Exactly. We same thing. Quality of opponent type deal.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, shit. Wait a minute. Steve got hell no. Steve don't got the Eagles number 1. Oh, Steve, brother. You trying to get some brownie points. He got the Eagles number 1.
Don't you feed into this.
Wait, hold on.
What's going on right now?
Yo, he got the Vikings number 4, yo. The Vikings number 4.
We know how Steve gets. We know.
You know how this goes. You know what time this is. Come on, man.
Mm-hmm. It can't be that much purple weed in Minnesota for him to have a Vikings at number 4, yo.
Hey, look, man. Who knows?
Never know. Never know.
Mark they can get, okay? All right. Mark, let's put Mark's list up real fast, please.
Bring it on.
I have to be that guy as a fellow Eagles fan, okay? Niners over Chiefs is a very interesting one to me. I'm interested to know what your thoughts are on that. Eagles at 3, of course. Lions over that team in the NFC East. That's fair. You have Baltimore at 6. I think that's very interesting. I know you shared your thoughts on that earlier on, but I really want to have you dive a little bit deeper into that. Miami over Buffalo is a little bit surprising to me, but I like to share your thought. Like for you to share your thoughts on that. Houston over the Bucks. I wonder if that's a quality of opponent selection. So those are my gripes. What are your responses to that, Mark? What do you think?
All right, what you mentioned, why the 49ers are 1?
Yes.
Because they dominated their defense without their best player. Like, just imagine if he was on the field. Like, that shit made a big difference for me.
Right.
You took away your best offensive weapon and you still bust their ass. Like, how can they not be number 1?
Okay.
What's
right.
the next one?
The next one.
I can't remember all this shit at the same time.
The next one was the Dolphins over the Bills. Can you break that down a little bit further for me?
Like I said, I don't have an issue with Dom list. I swear, I don't know what it is. Me and Dom think alike. I'm a big fan of watching the Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
Like you saying they don't play defense, they don't do this. Like, they do enough to win the game. They just beat. Wait a minute, who the hell did they beat? Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's still a quality opponent to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
You beat Jacksonville, especially once again after what happened that morning. Like, how can you focus on the game? And yet my man still went out and did his job. His team went out and did their job against a quality opponent. Yes, the Bills beat Arizona. We only talk about Arizona because of Marvin Harrison Jr. That's it. Let's keep it funky. Only time we may talk about Kyler Murray is if somebody want to play PS5 or, we want to do NBA Live or some shit like that or Call of Duty. Then we talk about Kyler Murray. Other than that, we all focus on, Harrison Jr. That's the only reason why we talk about him. And you still let that team put up, 28 points on you?
Yeah, 28, yep.
Like, come on, B. Like seriously. That's not a playoff team, but they dropped 28 on you. It could have been more if Murray could pick his fucking head up and hit. Look, bro.
Yeah.
They could have lost that game.
Okay.
So, all right, what's your next gripe?
All right, and then the last one was. I know you are. I know you. I watch your show too much. I know you are. Damn it. Okay. So lastly, you have the Texans, the Buccaneers over the Texans, if I'm not mistaken, or is that mixed up? Buccaneers over the Texans.
No. Yeah, I can't even see the list. I ain't gonna lie.
Okay, let me see that real fast. Can we put that up real fast for me, please? Okay. We have who rounds out that top 10?
Like I said, you got the Ravens up there. Yeah, I got the Texans.
Okay, the Texans over the Buccaneers. Okay. Was that a quality of opponent selection for you?
Yeah, and then in a sense, Joe Mixon, man.
Okay.
I watched him in Cincinnati. I had no idea that my man was going to come in and do some Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley tighten up, because he was not like that in Cincinnati.
Right.
So now he provides. I mean, they had I forgot their running back last year.
Dameon Pierce.
Yeah, Dameon Pierce.
Mm-hmm.
I just did not see that, and the fact that they did that and still was able to pass the ball, that shit made a huge impact on me. I'm like, he's about to change the dynamic of that team. The reason that the Bills, the Buccaneers are lower, like you said, it was the quality of opponents, man.
Okay.
Plain and simple. I like the Buccaneers. I like Mayfield. Of course, I like Evans and Goodwin. But it was the quality of opponent. That's all.
Okay, that's fair. Dom, do you have any issues with the list? I know it's similar, but
yeah, no, our lists are very similar. I don't have any real gripes, but I believe I noticed two things that you all did differently from me, and I believe it was having the Lions ahead of the Cowboys. Mm-hmm. Why?
Because of who they beat, the Rams. Rams are not slouches. They are Rams are a good team, and the fact that the Lions, they got expectations this year. Like, I'm not saying they didn't have it last year, but this year they went to the East. Oh my God! I'm about to say the conference final. Went to the NFC Championship. And should have went to the Super Bowl. So their expectations, you came out and beat a quality opponent with the whole world watching. I respect that about that young team.
Okay. And for me, I think it's the quality of opponent, and shoot, bias is included. Shoot, it's fine with me.
That's fair. That's fair.
Shit, it's fine with me. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. Yeah. And by the way, I am still sticking with the quality of opponent, just for the simple fact that, like I said earlier, talk to me when Deshaun Watson can throw the ball 30 plus yards down the field, and we can have a conversation about the Cleveland Browns. That's just me personally. I feel like that game from start to finish, it was kind of like, all right, we kind of know where this is going. Seems like a typical Dallas Week 1 win, anyways. Whoop-de-doo-da-day.
You forget no Chubb. They lost their tight end.
Yes.
That's fair. That's fair.
That is not the Browns team that we should be seeing.
Exactly. So, and then you missing some tackles also. So, and you know what? My thing is with Cleveland, though, just going a quick tangent, is that Cleveland, I literally don't want to hear any excuses when it comes to Deshaun Watson, simply because this is what happens when you decide to invest not one, but $230 million guaranteed on one guy to be the savior of your franchise. This is what happens. This is the stuff that you are expected to do. When you get paid that kind of money, guaranteed, it doesn't matter who's on your roster. It doesn't matter who's on that field with you that Sunday. You're supposed to perform above that, no matter what. So the fact that I'm not even seeing half of that, man, if I'm in Browns management right now, I'm like, hey, where's my ROI? For those of you who don't know, that's my return on investment, kids. Okay. Like, what is going on? I paid you all this money. I invested all this talent around you. You got Amari Cooper. You had Nick Chubb for a couple years. You had one of the best offensive lines in the league. You had one of the top defenses in the league. But yeah, y'all can't put up more than 20 points a game? Really? Like, I would have to seriously ask a lot of questions. Now, granted, I get it. It's week 1, whatever. But there's some stuff that I'll have to raise an eyebrow on that, personally. But we talk so much about the good teams in this league, and it just makes me wonder, who's really that bad? Who was really that bad out of week 1? And you know what? Just for the sake of being that guy this week, Dominic, share me.
Yes.
Your worst 5. We have the top 10. We have the top 5. What is your worst 5 of week 1?
Worst 5. Okay. So we'll go. We'll build up to who's the worst team in the league from what I saw. At 5, let's see here. Who do I want to go? Actually, at 5. Despite them still getting a win, I'm going to put it as the New England Patriots. It's a very good win. Very good win. Very impressive. The Bengals are notorious slow starters, though. They have been these past few years. Right. So I feel like this is probably even the Patriots were walking out of there like, hey, we stole one. This is one we weren't supposed to get this season. So I'll put the Patriots at 5. At 4, I will go with the Tennessee Titans. I think that I didn't have high hopes for them in coming into this season. I thought that they would be a bottom tier team. I saw a little bit that impressed me, but of course they let the game go. The Bears defense obviously hunkered down, made some plays. Caleb Williams didn't do a whole bunch in that game, but I'm going to put Tennessee at 4. At 3, I have the Las Vegas Raiders. lost to a solid opponent in the Los Angeles Chargers. Obviously, you got Jim Harbaugh over there in his khakis doing the damn thing. But I can't take a team serious when your two starting quarterbacks or your options at quarterback is Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell. That's a team that's tanking. They're a team that is quietly happy they lost and hope that they lose a lot more games so that way they can lock up a top 5 pick. At 2, I have the Carolina Panthers.
Oh,
no. There's another team at 1 that's worse. At 2, I have the Carolina Panthers. And the reason why I think I have the big distinction between the Carolina Panthers at 2 and the team at 1 that we'll talk about is I have a little bit more belief in Bryce Young. I think Bryce Young can be a good quarterback in this league. I think the Panthers don't have enough around him. I think they still need to build. That being said, that's a very bad showing in week 1. Now again, it's a lot of new. It's a new system, new head coach, first-time head coach in Dave Canales. We'll see how things play out for them as the season goes along. That offense, which is supposed to be Dave's, coup de grace, that's supposed to be his thing of reviving quarterbacks. He did it with Geno Smith. He did it with Baker Mayfield. Let's hope he can do it with Bryce Young. It didn't look like he did it in week 1. They looked god-awful. At number 1, though. At number 1.
I did not think about this team.
At number 1.
Yo, he said they got to win.
At number 1.
Oh, shit.
We have the New York Giants.
I knew it!
And the New York Giants are number 1 in the sense of being worst because of one man and one man only.
Whoa.
That is Daniel Jones. I don't know what Daniel Jones and his agent have over Joe Schoen, but whatever blackmail they have over him that convinced him to give Daniel Jones all of that money and then say goodbye to Saquon Barkley, I don't know. Like, whatever you have some elite level dirt on him for being able to pull that off, because there's no way anyone saw Daniel Jones, who, mind you, Daniel Jones has only had one okay season. He hasn't even had a good season as a starting quarterback. He had an average season. And the only reason he had an average season was because he had Brian Daboll as his head coach calling plays and because Saquon Barkley was healthy for a full season. That's it. That team is terrible, and it's not solely, but mainly because of Daniel Jones. It's the worst contract in the NFL. He's the worst starting quarterback in the NFL. The Giants are the worst team in the NFL.
Wow. You know what? See, Dom, you had me. Because I thought you were getting ready to have your breasts out and you were having the breast milk waiting for Bryce Young for the Panthers part. Then you messed around, just said, you know what? There's someone that's worse than that.
Yeah, no. See, like I said, the Panthers at least have hope that Bryce Young can get better. The Giants already know Daniel Jones is garbage. They were trying to move on from him last year. They just couldn't trade up in the draft to get the quarterback that they wanted. This will be his last year. I'll even go ahead and say I don't think Daniel Jones finishes this season as a starting quarterback. Drew Lock's going to get in there at some point.
I love the sound of that. And in the words of John Mara off of Hard Knocks, man, I would hate for Saquon to end up in Philadelphia Eagles colors.
Man.
Oh, man, it feels so good. It's so good. But you know what? I'm feeling generous. This is so entertaining. I thought the top 10 would be entertaining. This is more entertaining than anything else. Mark, what is your worst 5? What do you got on your worst 5? I'm curious.
We're gonna start 5 on up to the Wackens team.
Okay.
Let's start with the Raiders. I love Adams. He's like Daniel Jones. He won't be there the whole year. He's gone. But they suck. Like, they really suck ass. Even with Minshew, I'm a Minshew dude because Philly. But they suck. There's no way around it. I love Pierce. I think he has, I think he's a great coach, a great motivator, but you're motivating the wrong guys. Like, yeah, y'all just suck ass. There's no way around that. Number 4, Tennessee. Anytime I see a quarterback throw an interception and fall to his knees and pray, like, oh my God, like, I'm sitting here looking like, when you get to the locker room, who's whipping his ass? Not because you threw the interception, because you went to the ground was like, oh my God. Like, yo, like, Daniel Jones won't even do that. All right, at number 3, I got to go with Bo Nix and the Broncos. Yes.
Okay.
They suck. You trade away all your wide receivers. You still don't have a running game. I don't know. Remember, Denver used to be like a home of running back. Like, anytime you put a running back in there, they got 1,000 yards. I didn't care who it was. Sean Payton, you don't have Drew Brees. He was the coattail that you rode to greatness. Yep. Nobody don't have to like it, but it's the truth. You haven't won without Brees, and you still won't win with Bo Nix. Number 2. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, Dom. I got to go to Giants. And matter of fact, let me check, make sure my window is closed. I live in the Bronx, so somebody might hear me say the Giants suck ass and might try to shoot
be
my
careful now. I hope your security system's working. You're gonna need it.
But no, real talk, the Giants, they suck. I enjoyed Hard Knocks. It was very entertaining. It taught me how not to run a front office. It taught me how not to be a fan of their team. That was just crazy. But Daniel Jones, by far one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. I'll be surprised if he's on a team in 2 years. I'll be surprised if he's in the NFL. I mean, yeah, 2 years. He hasn't done anything remarkable. That's like, oh my God. The fact that they gave him that money, like I said, weed is now legal in New York. Like, I get it. I get it. But then at the same time, any GM asking their kids who they're going to draft.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. It was a joke.
Yeah, but still.
Time, but I wouldn't put that shit on TV. And number 1, and I know my kids are not watching, the Carolina Panthers. Of course, look, I'm a Bryce Young fan because I am an Alabama fan. However, I got to put him in the same boat as Daniel Jones. Like, dude, you got 1 more year to get it together next season. That's your 3rd year. I mean, it's sad to say. We see it all the time. There are number 1 picks that are busts. We just don't want to believe that he's one of them. He may very well be a Ryan Leaf or Achilles Smith. Like, he may be one of them dudes where he just can't get it going. Sorry. But Panthers are the number 1 worst team in the NFL.
Okay, and I want to address this comment real fast because I had made this point on the Off the Dome show a few months ago about how CJ Stroud and Joe Burrow ruined that narrative of quarterbacks not having help, okay, and still being successful. All right. How about a recent example as week 1? I just saw Matthew Stafford, who lost basically his entire offensive line. Puka Nacua goes down. The defense is letting the Lions run up all over him. And he still found a way to get that game to overtime. That is what you pay the big money to, for quarterbacks to do stuff like that. So when I hear people say, oh, he doesn't have help, he doesn't have this, he doesn't have that, I just saw that. So if you're trying to tell me that that's help, I don't want to hear nothing. Okay. I just wanted to point that out there, because I feel like people act like that doesn't exist. But
I mean, it helps when Sean McVay's the one scheming up the offense and calling the plays too.
Yep.
That helps.
That's true. That helps a lot. That helps a lot, and I'm not taking that away. It's just there's a lot of these instances where these fan bases, these fans, feel the need to always have this clip of, oh, he doesn't have no no help. He needs this. He needs that. And I'm like, I just saw Joe Burrow get to a Super Bowl without an offensive line. I just saw Matthew Stafford put up video game numbers against Detroit Lions in week 1. I just saw CJ Stroud lead a bunch of nobodies before the season started to the playoffs and win a playoff game. I just saw that. So you can't tell me that doesn't exist. That's neither here nor there. That's totally fine. I want to do something very special before we get out of here. It's a little special segment, all right? It's called, what is my team going to do? All right?
Win.
What we are going to do here is I'm going to ask the panel one bold prediction that their specific favorite team is going to make in this upcoming week. And trust me, we're going to clip this, so choose wisely and be careful. So, I ain't going to cheat. Dom, what do you think your Steelers going to do? What's your bold prediction for week 2? What you got?
Bold prediction. Bold prediction. We are taking on the Denver Broncos this week. I believe that game is in Denver. Mm-hmm. Denver was not on my top 5 worst teams in the NFL, but if that list was top 6 worst teams in the NFL, they would have been there. I am not a believer in Bo Nix. Okay. They also just lost Audric Estime to an injury. He will be out this week, I believe. So my bold prediction, Steelers, I don't know how bold this is, but I feel it's sufficient. Steelers will have, their defense will have at least 3 turnovers and will shut out the Denver Broncos. That's my bold prediction. 3 turnovers and a shutout.
And a shutout.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I loved what I saw out of our defense against Atlanta. Really, the only touchdown Atlanta scored came off of a broken play where Kirk kind of got out of the pocket and there was a miscommunication. Guy got left. Kyle Pitts gets left open in the end zone, which, oh my God, Kyle Pitts finally scored a touchdown. Who knew he could do that?
What? No
right. I didn't know he was allowed to do that. But I loved what I saw out of the defense. I think that our defense is legit. I mean, hell, it's the highest paid defense in the league. I expect them to perform like it.
Right. I would fucking hope so. Okay.
All right, Greg. Yeah. I like that, Greg.
See, why you gotta end the season though? Why can't you just find a way to make it to the next week? He gotta end his season? Not from injury. It's just he's gonna show everyone how bad Bo Nix is, where the Broncos are gonna be like, oh, we can't start this guy anymore. That's not injury. Not injury. We're never wishing injury on anybody. Okay. Maybe a little hurt. We may want to hurt you. Maybe you got to come out the game, take a couple plays off, or something like that. Never injury. Oh, what do you think this is, Isaiah Likely? Get out of here, man. Anyways, that's an interesting one and a shutout. That's the key part. The shutout. Yeah. Okay, cool. Mark, hey, you're my Eagles buddy now. What's your bold prediction for week 2 on Monday night? What do we got?
40 points, yo.
Woo!
We dropping 40. Nope.
40 points.
Now, they can say, oh my God, Eagles not dropping 40. Well, we scored 36 last week with no special teams or defensive touchdowns. Imagine if their offense was clicking in the first quarter like it was the second and the third. Imagine if Hurts did not fumble on the goal line. Imagine they dropped 34 with ease. So all that talk about, Kellen Moore and his whack offense, dude, they dropped 36 points. They only did that 4 times last year and once against a playoff team. So all that talk about Kellen Moore's offense being predictable and whack, Brock, I'm talking to you. No. Yeah, miss me with that. They dropped 36 on the number 10 ranked defense. What the hell you think they're going to do against the Falcons, Joe? So, yeah, I'm calling 40 points.
All right, Mark. We got 40 points on the board. Okay, I'll take it. And I'm assuming that ends in a win, right? This ain't going to be that much of a shit. It's not going to be
Bruh, bro, I'm an Eagles fan. We win in every game. Like, I don't even need to
All right.
Listen,
Hey, I just want to make sure now.
I'm gonna go ahead and tell you why the Eagles will win that game.
Okay, go ahead.
Being here in Atlanta, and I was actually in the stadium. I was there on Sunday. Okay. Kirk doesn't look healthy. He looks like his that Achilles is still bothering him, and he doesn't trust it 100%. That's why, like, if you paid attention to what the Falcons did, they became very predictable on offense. They were in the pistol a whole bunch, which is something Kirk Cousins never does in his career. He's someone who's under center a lot. He's not healthy. That Achilles, he doesn't trust it. And if he's not healthy, he's not, like, he's already a statue. If he's not healthy, he's not moving. All you got to do is get pressure on him. And that's what Steelers were able to do. And that's why that offense completely looked destitute. Philly, you do the same thing, be a similar outcome.
Wow. You know what? I feel like you read my mind sometimes, Dom. You just know what I'm thinking. Because my bro prediction, you didn't think I was going to be involved in this, did y'all? My bro prediction for week 2, believe it or not, as much as I just gave a whole bunch of shit about the Eagles defense, and kind of rightfully so, I predict that this Eagles defense will have 5+ sacks and a defensive touchdown. That is my bold prediction. I believe that we'll find a way to still get to 30+, but we were so dominant on all phases of the field. It didn't matter what we did. Offense, defense, complimentary football. I would love to see that. And we'll probably see that anyways because of what Dom just said. That boy ain't upright. You want to see that boy in the pistol? Jordan Davis going to sit up there and going to turn him into lunch meat. Oh, I cannot wait. Do it again and do it some more. Bryce Huff, go after him. Go after him. Do a safety blitz. Do it again and do it some more. We'll be watching. I'll keep a counter, okay? I have a counter during the game. I'll be like, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, wow, we have 5. That's what I'm talking about. So that's my bold prediction. All right. So that is the Rankings Roundtable show of week 1. Thank you to Dom. Thank you to Mark. Tell them where we could find you on all your socials before we get out of here, man. Start with you, Dom.
Absolutely, yeah. So you can catch me, like I said, it's Dom UR Live, DOMU, the letter U, the letter R, and then live. That's basically my at Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. I'm mostly active on Twitter. That's where you'll probably catch me getting off most of my thoughts and sports takes and stuff like that. But yeah, man, like I said, you can catch me just out here doing work. Like I said, big Steeler fan, but I try and keep an eye on everybody. And then obviously being here in Atlanta, I follow a lot of Atlanta sports stuff. So if you're into that content, by all means, subscribe, check me out, follow, all that good stuff.
All right, Mark, tell them about it.
I can't with you. Twitter, BX Reporter. Anybody watching already knows. Every Tuesday night, 6 o'clock, the Mass Podcast on Team NBS Media. You can find us on there talking about sports, entertainment, hip hop, anything, lifestyle, anything. So, BX Reporter on Twitter, the Mass Podcast, as you can see, on, on Team NBS, 6 o'clock every Tuesday night,
That's what I'm talking about. See, Mark always finds a way to get it done. Dom always finds a way to get it done. This is great. I want to thank y'all so much for joining the show. This was fucking fantastic. Mm-hmm. All right, and before we get out of here, my name is Thomas Brown Jr. You can also follow me at __ terrific Tom. I am the co-host of the Off the Dome Show, live Fridays, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Okay. We'll have a promo video for you to get ready for that, okay? That's coming pretty soon. Very excited for that. Off the Dome, Rankings Roundtable. I got double duty, triple duty, no matter what it is. I'm going to be around there somewhere. I got to be. All right? Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Like, share, and subscribe. And lastly, join us. See ya.